Welcome to Confirmation Bias, presented by the League Ambassadors.
As the creators of Ronald McDonald once said, do you believe in magic? Well, I hope you do, because I sure as hell don't. And that's my confirmation bias. Damn.
I'm Ambassador Junior Blue, and, one of our fans out there, Scott Cameron, his son's birthday was last week, so I want to send a shout-out to Isaiah Cameron on his 12th birthday. Live it up. Happy birthday. And that's my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Dad, and some records aren't meant to be broken, and they shouldn't be tried to be broken either. And I'm just going to leave it at that. That's my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Red O, and the worse Aaron Rodgers' week was, the better mine was. And that's my confirmation bias.
And I'm Ambassador Chef Curry. Do y'all remember back when Juju Smith had his bike taken? I think I know who stole it. And that's my confirmation bias.
Welcome to Confirmation Bias, hosted by the League Ambassadors. As a reminder, check us out across all social media platforms on our handle at The League AM, our website, theleagueam.com, where you can find all of our content, our NFL podcast, 32 Kings Road, also our blog spot, Diplomatic Community, where you, the fan, can drop your bars and spit that hot fire as it pertains to the world of sports. For those of you who are watching us on Facebook Live, please share the feed, please like. Also, please submit any questions or comments so we can attempt to answer them on our segment at the end of the show called Diplomatic Community. Please download Confirmation Bias and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen or watch pod or vodcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is under the banner League Ambassadors. And also this year we have a new Switch channel that we'd like you to check out where we do all kinds of crazy shit, live events, and we'll discuss some of that coming up later.
Excuse me, brother. Switch?
Yes. Twitch.
Twitch. Okay.
Did I say Twitch?
Nah.
Let
It's
the
almost
people
like
know what it is.
it's almost like you
Twitch.
still got that bad internet.
No, I've been delivered. I have been delivered into the promised land of Spectrum.
Shout out to Spectrum. Come holler at us.
Yeah. But before we get into this episode, this is episode 68, Confirmation Bias. We've made it back. There were some bumps along the way, but we're here. We've actually changed our format this season as well, from a 30-minute show to an hour. So we have a lot of topics to cover, a lot of biases to confirm. So let's get started. Last night, the end of the men's basketball season ended for the college ranks. The championship game last night saw the Virginia Cavaliers beat the Texas Tech, the Red Raiders?
Yes.
In overtime. Texas Tech was very game. So we want to discuss the tournament since now it's over. To start with, at the beginning of the tournament, on Twitch, we actually had a 36-hour drink-a-thon where you can also check it out on our Twitch channel, which is under the League
32
AM.
shots.
We watched all 32 games,
I
took a
lost
shot.
2 years off my life.
We took a shot for every game that started, and we had a bracket challenge.
Nobody won.
Nobody won.
No. I won.
Nobody won.
No, I won.
Kenyon won, but how many teams did you have in the Final Four?
I had 2 teams in the Final Four and 1 team in the national title game. I had Virginia.
You lying like shit.
No, I'm serious. Yeah.
Prove it right now.
You have Virginia.
Go to...
Prove-
Yeah, I
prove
have
it right
Virginia.
now.
They
You're
didn't win it though.
No,
You
I
had Gonzaga.
have Virginia going against
Right now,
Gonzaga.
you're lying.
Well,
Go
we
to
did
s-
make picks on last week's show, didn't we?
No, we not talking about that. We talking about the real bracket challenge. East Coast guy.
I was gonna say because someone picked Virginia, and I don't think it was any of you four.
No, not at all. So before we get into the Final Four that just occurred this weekend, let's talk about the actual tournament itself. Now, for me, we were just talking about the bracket challenge. I didn't have a single team in the Final Four. I was an O Fer. Les?
O Fer.
Kenyon, sorry, said he had 2.
Michigan State, Virginia.
I couldn't tell you.
Omar.
I hadn't checked since
You had Kentucky.
He had Kentucky, and it was dead on arrival.
Kentucky went out. I didn't check.
But I felt like once it got down to the nitty-gritty, I thought that overall Texas Tech kind of impressed me the most. And I thought that they won. I said that on last week's show. But overall, what was your guys' take on the tournament?
It was the best kind of chalk tournament. Meaning, typically when stuff goes chalk, right, it's not that interesting because it's like, oh, this is what we expected. I think, the first 2 rounds, or the first weekend, I should say, went pretty much as expected. But then once we got into the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, that's when the games were competitive and you did see some upsets. And yeah, I mean, you had a 1 seed in the final going against a 3 seed. So ultimately, there wasn't too much variance. There really wasn't that Cinderella team. I guess Auburn would probably come the closest. So, but it was a competitive, entertaining tournament. Best kind of chalk tournament is how I would summarize it.
What's crazy is that next year, the one and done's probably be the last year for them. And we saw this year what basketball is going to look like without them. We saw a lot of juniors and seniors playing. Like, I think it was some stat where out of the 390 points scored in the Final Four, only like 30 was scored by freshmen. So that's what we're about to see. It's going to be good basketball. It's not going to be, you're not going to have Zion running around. Another thing that got me is how preseason rankings of players like Jarrett Culver, Cam Reddish, how they were easily top 10 picks, and they didn't show up at all. At all.
So you're kind of segueing nicely because the next question I had was players that made or lost money during the tournament.
You can put them 2 players as lost money.
Lost.
Did Cam play? Did he play the first game?
Cam Reddish did play, and understand when we say lost money, they're still gonna be first round picks. Right. They're still gonna be lottery picks. But I think those 2 players in particular are going to be towards the bottom of the lottery.
Right.
For
Kevin,
sure.
do you feel that there were players? Do you agree with that assessment, or another player you like?
No, I agree with Ken. In terms of those whose stock rose to me, I don't think we can look any further past last night with DeAndre Hunter.
Yep.
I mean, he showed on the biggest stage that he had a versatile game. I mean, he could score. He could pass, he could make plays, he could defend. Yeah. And I don't necessarily think he might have been like in the top 50 or 60 before the season started. And now I think his stock is definitely up there with one of the more versatile players when we look at those who have done it on the biggest stage and didn't necessarily shrink like the players that Les had mentioned.
Ja Morant also.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think. Go ahead.
Go.
I think Brandon Clark made some money.
Okay.
He is now one of
time to start drinking. Omar's talking.
One of 3 players with Shaq and the Admiral to have scored. I think it was 35 points and 5 blocks in NCAA tournament history. Mm-hmm. His first game was 36 points, 8 rebounds, 5 blocks. Followed that up with 15 points, 12 rebounds. Next game was 18 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists.
He had a good tournament.
Yeah, he made some money.
Do you guys think Taco Fall makes it in the NBA?
Only because of his name.
I mean, you're gonna take a dude that's 7 foot.
Second round.
Yeah, he's second round pick.
I mean, because it's intriguing to have. I mean, with today's NBA, I mean, he can just stand there and be an annoyance. I mean, he's gonna foul out every game.
Yeah,
because Duke loses that game if he doesn't foul out.
This is absolutely true, and to me, I think this may sound obvious, but I think actually Zion made more money, if that's even possible, because some of
the shoe deal,
right? No, because if going into the tournament, I would say we talked about his ceiling being Larry Johnson and low end Rodney Rogers, right? And we thought, he needs to work on this part of his game, work on that part of his game. Is mostly athleticism, but like he was ready, unlike R.J. Barrett, who was not ready, and who I think lost some money in the draft.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna get taken. R.J. Barrett's still gonna get taken top 3 just because it's Omar and I were talking about this yesterday. It's a very top heavy draft, but the talent is not really there. It really is Zion, and there's going to be one other player. Oh, Ja, I'm sorry, Ja for sure. Zion and Ja for sure. There's going to be one other player that comes out of nowhere that we're like, oh, and they'll be a rookie of the year or potential candidate. Don't know who that player. We don't know yet.
Right.
I like Carson Edwards. I think Carson Edwards also made some money. I think he's short,
He's my height.
but he
Hey, he can hoop.
but he can hoop.
Yeah.
And with a team that has a larger playmaker, right? Or if he's a microwave scorer off the bench, his 6 man, he's got
Eddie
value.
House type.
Maybe Eddie House type, Monte Ellis type. The thing is coming into the tournament, I think he was bored because he almost declared last year, and they basically told him that he was a second round pick, maybe undrafted. He comes back, has a great season, put up 40 in the tournament. I think definitely he might be a late lottery pick, definitely a first round pick now. You just hope that for him as well as Zion, you just hope that they go to the right situations, you know.
And going that high, you might not.
And another guy me and you talked about was Culver, who did himself no favors.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Red O. Yeah, I mean, not Red O, but Les was talking about. Yeah, Jared Culver. He's got talent. I like his body frame, and he is really young. And you can tell, like, he knows how to play basketball, but I don't know that he can create off the dribble.
His athleticism, he looks like he's supposed to be an uber athlete.
Yeah,
and he's
not.
He's not.
Kev, so we some names that were thrown out there as far as being potential like rookie of the year or all stars, Ja Morant and Zion. Do you think those are locks, or do you have any other players you think might be on that star caliber?
I would say no, just based off the expectation that's going to come from those guys. And if Zion ends up where he should end up, which is playing for the Knicks, that
Frozen envelope.
I think if he had,
Said frozen envelope.
yeah, I think even if he has an average, above average year, I think with the expectations and the shoes that he's filled even up to this point, I think it's going to go to one of those two guys because they have above and beyond more talent than I think anybody else that's going to be picked in that draft.
Now, moving on to Saturday night, one of the best nights of the year for college sports. We had the Final Four. We had Auburn versus Virginia. Then we had Texas Tech versus Michigan State. But the biggest talk of the town was that first game, the first slotted game. Did the refs get it right in that game?
No.
I mean, they missed a clear double dribble.
Hey, did you guys think it was double dribble when it happened, though?
Yes.
Yeah,
I did right away.
I actually thought it got tipped away. It took the replay for me to
Hit
be like,
off his
oh, that's
leg.
a double dribble. Yeah, it did.
But the ref was right there where
Right
it
there. I thought it was a double dribble right away. I was
But
like, wait, why didn't they call it?
But even if it's tipped away and hits his leg and he picks it up, that's not a double dribble. That's what I thought happened. Maybe I assumed that happened, but obviously so did the refs.
Omar.
I think Jerome knew that too. I think Jerome knew that too because as soon as he went to go pick the ball up, he looked in the corner for somebody to pass it to, saw he didn't have enough time and just said, fuck it. And they didn't call it, so.
Omar, do you have a problem with the foul call on the three?
Fuck no, it was a foul.
Okay.
I don't know. I think they should have swallowed their whistle, but it was a foul. It was definitely a foul.
You got to have a place to land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was running into his legs before he even released the ball.
And what gets lost in that is, aside from the bad call prior and the questionable three, the young man stepped up and hit all three free throws.
Three of them.
Let me tell you something. Them three
pressure
white
bust
boys,
pipes.
them 3 white boys for Virginia can hoop, and Kyle Guy is the guy. And and he had the same shitty smirk last night when he shot the free throws. Like, this is easy. Like, what do you mean? This is all we practice. Like that. Yeah, big time, big kahunas, clutch free throw making by Mr. Guy. I liked Auburn. I rooted for Auburn just because, and I forgot, I said this before, but it just felt good to see Charles Barkley so happy. Like, Charles was relishing in it. And I said that the game would be interesting because I felt like it would be a contrast in styles in terms of tempo. The truth of the matter is that Virginia had the game at their tempo, but Auburn just made shots and they competed. And you hate that it comes down to, a controversial sort of scenario.
We'll get back to that, Kev. You was about to say something?
It may be a little foreshadowing, but Kenyon, so you're telling me that white guys can shoot? Is that what you're
You know what I enjoyed in this tournament that I didn't think I was going to enjoy?
Someone else learned that lesson last night. But
It was the amount of defense we saw being played. It was refreshing to see that
Oh, because NBA doesn't play until tomorrow. They don't play any defense until tomorrow.
Right.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was it. It was some great defensive games, like especially that was it Michigan State Texas Tech game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Jesus
Texas, they
Lord.
just ratcheted it up. It just went
But
to
that's
another
what we're
level.
gonna start seeing with the juniors and seniors playing.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Better-
that's what Villanova has
Yeah.
showed.
Exactly why they won.
Yep.
Now, a lot of the hype or the onus goes on the refs for making that bad call. But let's talk about how Auburn tricked that shit off at the end. They were up 4 with 15 seconds left.
Yeah.
Then they were up 2 at the line
Yeah.
shooting with 7 seconds left and still lost.
Yeah.
But we blame it on the refs and we forget about that.
Yeah.
The execution just wasn't there. And what year was Brown? The
Brown's a senior.
Senior.
Yeah.
and the Marlo Stansfield dude.
I think he's a junior.
Yeah.
So they should have known better.
Yeah. It's facts.
Yeah.
So moving on to Monday, last night.
I just skipped right over Michigan State, Texas Tech, because the strap was put on
The
Michigan
strap was-
State.
Yeah.
He already talked about it.
Jesus Lord.
The strap,
Pulled the dildo out, and that was it.
the strap and the sword.
The strap and
Oh,
the
I'm sorry,
sword.
sword. You gotta say the W. So last night,
Wasn't there last night though.
it was at first. I actually bet a cup of coffee to a coworker that it was going to go the under, and I was looking real good the first like 6 minutes of the game,
Nope.
and then it went to another level. I thought it was a good game. I thought it was a well played
Yes.
game. I thought it was the best game since Villanova and Carolina, and then because everything other than that has been kind of a dud. What were your takeaways from the championship game as far as how it was played?
Like I said, it was a really good game. The defense was there. It was Virginia would go up 8, 9, 10 points. Here comes Texas Tech back. I just keep on going back to if Culver had just played a normal game, just a regular 18-point game, shoot
Yeah.
45, 50% from the field, they win that game
Yeah.
in regulation.
It seems like as soon as he got the ball, he wanted to give it up.
Yeah,
like,
it was
Not in the second half though. It took him a while to get revved up,
Yeah.
but it was too late.
I think he just, again, and this goes back to what we talked about in terms of his draft stock. I just think that he got exposed a little bit in terms of where he needs to grow. I agree with you, Les. Like, he looks like he should be more athletic than what he is. Again, he has trouble creating off of the dribble. I also think the system that Texas Tech runs, and I don't necessarily mean the system, but in terms of what their overall strategy is, which is essentially, you know what, we're gonna play really good defense as a
slow it
team,
down.
and then slow it down. And offensively, Jared, you're our guy.
Yeah, go
and
get
I think when they got to the Final Four,
With Virginia,
there was
who also has the strap.
right. There was all of this pressure that I think Culver felt, and that's what he played like. He played like he was under immense
Right.
pressure because of what their overall strategy has been as a team.
Speaking of strategy, Kev, you were talking about it throughout the game. What was the difference in the game from when it went to a 10-point Virginia lead to Texas was in control or coming back? It was obvious, right?
Well, since Kenyon made it very clear that white guys can shoot, I think that's something that you should know across the board. Everyone knew that except for Texas Tech. And they kept playing that over-aggressive zone that would obviously leave the backside open whenever they drew and kicked. And Virginia knocked down shots. It was until I think the 7-8 minute mark that they got out of the zone
And started
with
playing
command,
man.
And just like that, the lead disappeared and they were back in the game. I was saying this since the first few minutes to start the game. Get out of the zone. When you're the more aggressive team and you're playing against white boys who can shoot, you man them up. You force them to make plays off the dribble, which Jerome was able to do a couple times, but you're not going to win an entire game playing like that.
Kev,
I think for them,
Kev, you watched him. You watched him for 4 years. Does Jerome remind you of Grievous?
yes, he doesn't necessarily have the same size, not the same moxie, but in terms of his style of play, he's not the most athletic, but he can make crafty plays. He definitely reminds me of Gravis Vasquez, who I have no idea what he's doing right
He's
now.
probably
but-
selling dope somewhere.
Hey, one thing we didn't mention was the fact that Owens, that ankle injury from Saturday, that
Yeah.
cost them big time
Yeah.
in that game Monday.
The fake Stromae Swift. Yeah, I agree with that.
You called him Stromae Smith, but I did like what you said. You're like, if he comes back from that, Lonzo's a bitch.
Yep.
He came running out the
Man,
tunnel.
played in the same game.
He did.
Played in the same fucking game.
That's the difference between light skin and dark skin. I think
I don't know. Hey, I didn't play light skin when I played. I went to the rack.
I think also, and it's funny to say, right? Like usually when we talk about teams feeling pressure, especially in a basketball sense, we focus more on the offensive end. But to your point, Kevin, when you talk about, Texas Tech playing this zone, which really didn't make sense, I feel like Texas Tech was not in their normal defensive character, their normal defensive posture. And perhaps, again, the moment gets big. Because I, was shocked by the pace of the game overall. It was 21-21 with like 11 minutes left in the first half. They had already scored 42 points. So you knew the game total was going over. I just feel like, again, the weight of the moment, and it did result in a great basketball game, but both teams, particularly Texas Tech, was highly uncharacteristic defensively, and I just think the pressure of the moment had something to do with that.
I just know we can't go on to the next segment until we make it clear that half of this title belongs to UMBC, because if it wasn't for them, Virginia wouldn't be anywhere close to where they are.
Shout out to Uncle Ralph as well.
Yeah, from worst to first. All right, it's time for Black versus Blue. Hope or hype? And this is the, with our new 1 hour format, we've got the supersize edition. Jesus, Lord.
I tried to told you.
All right, so hope versus hype.
We got the time.
Yeah, we got the time. Mick Cronin is now the new head coach at UCLA. And
hey, Omar.
He was he got this job after Mike Hopkins of the University of Washington said no. John Calipari leveraged the opening to get a lifetime deal.
Who else leveraged?
Jamie Dixon was like, you can get me. TCU was like, yeah, you can have him if you're going to pay this $8 million buyout.
There's
UCLA.
more.
Yeah, there is more. Because Rick Barnes was like, well, I got a $5 million buyout, and they was ready to do that. And then he leveraged the job. So then we come to Mick, good old Mick. Mick, former head coach of the University of Cincinnati. Now, 9 straight NCAA tournament appearances.
Mm-hmm.
Only guys named Mark Few, Izzo, Coach K, Bill Self, Roy Williams have done that. Mm-hmm. Question I got for you guys, hope or hype that he's going to turn UCLA around?
Looking at me.
Let's go to our resident UCLA fanboy, Omar.
Fanboy. Not even Bruin, just fanboy.
Fucker you up. It's hope. It's hope because, besides the fact that he got heart palpitations, it's hope. Because,
he does.
Yes. And the spotlight's about to get a lot brighter.
And because he's high strung. He's very high strung.
The one thing I know that we will play from now on is defense.
All right.
The man
Tried that
coaches-
with Ben Howland, too.
I was just say, is this another Ben Howland? Is he going to put the reins on players?
Well, shit, at this point, we take Ben Howland back if we can get back to the tourney.
Well, you tried to. That's why you went after Jamie Dixon.
He ain't Ben Howland. But, until we know how he's going to deal with these bright lights at UCLA, it's going to be hope.
Anybody else got anything to say on that before I go to the next one?
I'm just going to say hype.
Okay.
Just because it's LA, ain't shit gonna be right till it's right. A lot of the LA talent doesn't stay home.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, yeah,
DeAndre Hunter's from where?
up the street.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, their starting point guard, the freshman at University of Virginia, went to Taft. It's true.
The triple breed.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Shout out to Skinny.
All right, hope or hype? Will the Masters be the most competitive Masters ever? We've got Rory McIlroy, who's playing really well in 2019. He has 7 top 10 finishes already, and he's still looking for his career Grand Slam. We've got Brooks Koepka, who is trying to go for 4 Masters in the last 8 years. You've got, of course, Tiger, who, he's healthy. I think this is the longest that he's played consecutively, seriously, in at least 2 years. And then you still have Ricky Fowler, who's also playing well and is still looking for his first major. Will this be the most competitive Masters? Hope or hype? Junior Blue.
I'm going to say I hope it is, but like with most golf tournaments, somebody gets hot. And for it to be the most competitive, you have to have 4 or 5 people getting hot. And I just don't see that happening there.
I think it's hope for the simple fact that the top 10 are so close right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Tiger lurking at 10,
Mm-hmm.
which would make the field a little closer. I don't know if it'll be the most dramatic. I mean, if we're looking for that type of thing, but competitive, it could be. So I think it's hopeful.
It's raining. The greens are soft.
I mean,
Redo?
I hope it's not, because those are some of the best naps I ever get during the Masters. This boring ass shit. Because if it's if it is, then I gotta stay up.
Yeah, I'm hopeful, just like the rest of you guys. I mean, I don't know if it'll be the most competitive, but I definitely think it'll be the most intriguing in terms of top heavy, based off the names that you mentioned. But like Les said, as most of these golf tournaments go, to be some no name that we've never heard of before that comes out of nowhere, and the rest of these guys shit the bed. So
Hey, Ricky got a fucker walk.
Yeah.
He was on the pot last year and missed.
Patrick Reed was the 2018 Masters champion, so we will see if he can repeat. Finally, under Hope versus Hype, Dwayne Wade retirement tour. We are approaching the end of the NBA regular season. Next week, we will do a deep dive into the playoffs. Tonight, actually, is Dwayne Wade's regular season home finale for the Miami Heat. Hope or Hype in terms of Dwayne Wade's legacy? What will his ultimate legacy be, Kev?
you mean Dwayne Wade? That's how his mama spell that shit. I think he will go down as the third greatest shooting guard. Not the third best, but the third greatest in terms of
I see what you did there.
accomplishments.
I see what you did there.
'Cause that's a different conversation. I mean, Devin calls him Captain Pump Fake. He's made the Heat, I would say, during his time frame there, the more relevant than when they were, during the early Zoe days. But I mean, he was Miami sports for over a decade. You look at how trash the Dolphins were. Were the Marlins Miami Marlins yet? You can't name anyone else in the last maybe 10, 15 years that was more prominent in Miami than D-Wade, even when LeBron came. So I definitely think he'll finish top three.
Dad is the third whatever, and I think that's even debatable. Whatever you want to call it, shooting guard. Is he worthy of this type of retirement? I mean, this has been a lot of perp and circumstances, celebration around this retirement tour.
Yeah, I think.
Hey, tell him it's Pop.
Pump. You're right. I said pop. Pump.
It's cool.
Okay, I missed the one over my head.
Pump and circumstance.
Okay,
I said pop. I took the M out. Motherfucker.
let me take a sip. I think it's interesting. I'm with you.
Yeah.
And the way Kevin phrased it, he might be the third greatest, but it's a debate whether he's the third best, because there's an argument to be had. There's some names you can throw in there, and it's a discussion. It's a discussion. It's a discussion.
I don't even think it matters.
But the point I'm trying to make is we have someone who was probably the best at their position that didn't get the same kind of fanfare, and that's Tim Duncan. He went out and was like, all right, I'm done.
Honestly, I think D Wade brought a lot of it. He's the one that started the jersey swaps. So it started at the beginning of the year, then all of a sudden it just steamrolled until it's a huge thing. I mean, Miami was always going to send him out like this. Like you said, for a decade plus, he was Miami. He was Mr. Pitbull. So
Wow. He looked like one right now too with them braids.
and that's the thing. So, and then Budweiser, they did their thing for him.
That was nice.
And that was really nice. But it was all about the jersey swaps, which he started. So it wasn't like he was going into arenas and they were doing stuff for him. He did the jersey swaps. So I don't even know how big of a deal it was.
Made Paul Pierce, man.
To me, it's the Will Smith effect, though. It's you stay relevant through social media. I mean, why do people constantly forget about Tim Duncan? Because he doesn't make himself prominent.
It's his
With
fault.
D-Wade, although I think he deserves it. I mean, you look at his resume, man. I mean, I forgot he won the scoring title in 2009.
Yeah.
For a guy who can't shoot. I mean, first player to have over 2,000 points, 500 assists, 100 steals, 100 blocks in the season, and he's 6'4". I mean, we gotta take our hats off to him, man.
We do, but what I was saying about I don't think it matters is I just mean he's the greatest Heat of all time.
Yeah.
He's a great ambassador to the sport. So to me, that deserves the pomp and circumstance because of who he was as a person, also what he did for that franchise.
Well, as long as he doesn't talk about his individual self, I'm good.
And that's funny.
Get me out of here.
I want to make Tim Duncan relevant. You guys should go and take a look if you haven't seen his hairdo. Go check out
Jesus,
Tim
Lord.
Duncan's hairdo.
Oh, no.
Let that man live his life,
and he
man.
will be viral instantly.
Oh, I'm about to check it out right
He
now.
went full freakazoid.
And also,
He bored.
A
we
dread
know
with fade.
we know Wade is talking about going to therapy already for retirement. So there's that.
That's a very good point, though.
Newsworthy or nothing to see. Kyle Korver, yesterday for the Players Tribune, wrote a remarkably eloquent essay on white privilege. Newsworthy or nothing to see, Kev?
I definitely think it's newsworthy because we don't hear whether you're a famous person or just some guy down the street. I mean, unless you're Mike, of course. Nobody really speak on these issues the way they need to be, spoken about. And I was just happy to hear him say, like, look, that black players, which are 75% of this league, built this league. Like so many other billion-dollar popular industries, the work started from black people. It's become cool. It's become relevant and stayed relevant because of black people. He spoke on the incident with Thabo Cephalosha when he got injured in New York City that many people kind of just let go. And look, at the end of the day, I think he's saying, like, look, y'all, even though this doesn't happen to you and it's not in the forefront, like white people, y'all need to believe your counterparts when they say this is happening. If y'all can believe in white Jesus, then y'all can believe in this.
I think it was written perfectly because of the way he started. He showed his mindset and then how the progression he actually made as a person and realizing his mindset was fucked up.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that is hardest for people who are not colored to see.
So why is this okay, but Liam Neeson got lambasted for what he said because he was showing growth?
Fuck Liam Neeson.
Because Kyle Korver may not have believed somebody, but it didn't make him want to go out and kill somebody. That's the difference.
But I think one of the most poignant things was when he heard in the group text that they had back and forth that he got in trouble with the law and was shot. It was like, well, what is he doing out on a back-to-back? And if he got in trouble with the police, he must have done something to get, accosted like this. And it's like, that is the sentiment across America, Jack. If you've ever been in any internet post in the comment section, that is what it is.
Because when protect and serve really means something to you, it's hard for you to grasp the fact that it doesn't mean the same for other people.
Yeah. Newsworthy or nothing to see, the Baltimore Orioles' Chris Davis.
Hey, guys.
Chris with a CH.
Chris with a CH has set a Major League Baseball record for the most consecutive at-bats without a hit. As of right now, he is 0 for 47. And that was Mike laughing. Is that newsworthy or... quite literally, is there nothing to see here? Junior Blue.
That's newsworthy because you gotta try not to hit the ball.
I don't think we need to say nothing else.
I don't get it.
Dad, is it newsworthy because he's getting paid how much?
160 million. 23 this year.
Say
Thanks,
it again.
Scott.
How much is he getting paid?
160 million.
Okay, so is it newsworthy because he's getting paid
160.
and he's 0 for 47, or is it just newsworthy because he's 0 for 47?
It's newsworthy because if any of us go 0 for 47, we aren't in the fucking league.
Hey, but he did hit 53 homers
5 years ago.
How many years ago?
5.
These are key numbers, man. 47, 5, 163.
I mean, that's what you do for a living.
Huh.
Like, has he been hit? Did he get hit by a pitch?
No, he hasn't. I don't think he's been on base.
Honestly, we need a challenge. We need a major league pitcher to pitch to one of us 47 times
And see if we can get a hit.
see if we can
stick
get
the bat
one
out
hit.
there and just leave it there and get
if we get hit.
Right.
Hey,
I'm not
as
I'm not
right
getting
as
it.
y'all may be, jokes aside, I honestly think, and I'm not just saying this because I'm, the Orioles of my team, but I think his struggles are 100% related to his mental health. And I think it started, you look at his decline, it started in 2014, rock with me. In 2014, he got suspended for the use of Adderall because he has ADHD. Now, before he was allowed to take it, and he got popped. And since then, granted, he had a solid season in 2015, but since then, look at his numbers. His batting average went from 286 to 196 to 215 to 156. He is real life depressed. Something's going on. You can't go from that level of production at 30 years old and completely drop off the way he did without something serious.
There is
being
other
wrong.
ways to drop off.
Okay, Kev, I want you to rock with me on this, all right?
Let's go.
Okay, 90-mile-an-hour fastball. How fast you think it takes to get from the pitcher's hand to the plate? Give or take.
A split second.
A split second. If a motherfucker can't pay attention for a split second, you might as well take him up to the plate and shoot his ass, all right? At least once out of 47. Red O talked about this in his confirmation bias. Aaron Rodgers had a hell of a week last week.
Man, did he?
Actually, I think it was Monday. No, it was last week. Over the weekend. He had a hell of a week. There were a couple of different articles. First, it started with the Mike McCarthy interview.
Show.
Where he more or less didn't talk so much about Arod as much as he talked about the Green Bay Packers organization and particularly how things were handled on the way out. Now, we as fans had heard the rumors and had heard the murmurs that, there was definitely some dysfunction between Aaron Rodgers and Coach McCarthy. Well, there was an article that came out in the Bleacher Report that just sent everything to the moon. I'm talking about, Aaron Rodgers just outright calling different plays. Now, there's a difference between having latitude and then just outright saying, yeah, no, that's a dumb call. I'm going with something different. It didn't paint Aaron Rodgers in a good light. Allegedly, Mark Murphy called Aaron Rodgers before they announced the hiring of their new head coach, Matt LaFleur, and basically said, don't be the problem. There were several ex-players that talked about how difficult it can be or how difficult it was for Aaron Rodgers to interact with Mike McCarthy. My question is this newsworthy or is there nothing to see here?
Let's let Omar go last.
Junior Blue.
I don't even need to say nothing.
Yes, you do. He will anyway, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, with A-Rod, we know he has issues, right?
Several.
Omar, does he
Some we
talk
can't-
to his family?
Not one of them.
So
His mama house was burning down, and he didn't call her.
So I mean, it's not a surprise. And McCarthy's already out. He has a new coach.
Nothing to see here.
It's nothing to see.
Let's see. Dad?
It's
And that check still cash.
It's absolutely newsworthy.
Correct.
The proclaimed best player in the league. He's the face, damn near, if you take away Brady. Like, everyone says he's the most talented quarterback in the league. And he's out here getting in the spats of ex-players, current players, ex-coaches. Hell yeah, it's newsworthy.
Does that change what he is though?
No.
Oh, okay.
We already knew what he was and what he is.
I'm not looking at you.
Yeah.
Kev.
We really do try to address social issues responsibly here, but anyway, I would definitely say it's newsworthy because I think it speaks to a larger point about how much power we give quarterbacks. And you compare this to the Ben Roethlisberger situation. How much will you let a quarterback know how, no matter how good he is, destroy your franchise or destroy the chemistry you have between coaches and players in the locker room?
Wow.
We see how it works out.
The reason why it's newsworthy is for the simple fact is, imagine if Cam Newton was the subject of this story. Imagine the fury that would be going out about Cam Newton. Like, there wouldn't be no apologist. He would just be the worst quarterback in the league because of this. And the PR program started the next day for Aaron Rodgers. All of a sudden, he got 100 players calling him, talking about, yeah, we never had a problem with you. Get the fuck out of here. He's a whole whore, and now the whole league knows.
Hey, moving forward. No, hold up. Moving forward. When Omar rocks off, we got to play Thief's theme. We got to do that.
Bear down.
All right, newsworthy, nothing to see here. The American Alliance of Football, also known as the AAF, also known as DOA, is allegedly folding. Right now, officially, the official characterization is that all operations have been shut down, have ceased.
Get your own flight.
Newsworthy or nothing to see here that yet another football league is come to ruins.
There's nothing to see here because the NFL will never ever let another league survive.
All right. Anybody think it's newsworthy? I don't think so. No. Kevin, you're taking too long.
No, say no.
All right.
Mike wanted us to talk about it bad last year.
Did you see that new league? What's the name of that league?
Like, grand opening, grand closing.
Hey, but what I do think is interesting though is that I think one of the issues that kind of led to this was that I think their largest investor, Tom Dundon, who was Dundon, because I thought.
Dun. What up, Dun? Hey.
What up, Dun?
Rest in peace, Prodigy.
I felt like I was hearing Mobb Deep all over again. But no, the issue was he wanted like the lower level, maybe practice NFL players to then play in the league, and it ended up being like a violation of their collective bargaining agreement. But I think in terms of like a labor fight and balance goes in the leeway that players have. I think that's important, but we knew this was going to happen.
He basically picked a fight because he didn't want to cash them write them $70 million weekly checks is what that was. So he picked.
I hear Dun.
Yeah, Dun.
Now it's Dun.
NBA awards again into the NBA season. Real quick, rapid fire. Who's your coach of the year? Red O.
Luke Walton.
Dad.
Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers.
Junior Blue, you say Doc Rivers.
And that's
Budenholzer. I got Mike Budenholzer, man. The best team in basketball. Kevin, you with me? Yeah,
Give it back to me.
I'm saying who had the Clippers doing anything?
Give it back to me.
Who had the Clippers better than the Lakers this year?
Guess who my real coach of the year is?
And then who?
Doc Rivers.
And then who had it after the fucking trade?
Yeah.
You know how much I shit
know
on
you
Doc
shit
Rivers.
on, and you brought me.
Y'all
home
didn't
with it,
believe
too.
me. Y'all didn't believe me when I was like, "Yo, this man is coaching his ass off." Y'all thought I was just, but I believe the man did his job, man. You can shit on him all you want, but he did what the fuck he did.
But
man.
you shit on him though.
Yes, which is why I'm saying I'm giving him his props.
Did Trae Young catch Luka Doncic for Rookie of the Year? Kev?
No, he put up a valiant fight, but I mean, Luka's the only rookie other than Oscar Robertson that averaged 27 and 5, so we kind of got to give it to him.
I mean, he's light, but he ain't Trey is light, but he ain't that light. Luka got that for real.
That?
Yeah, no, I mean, Luka had a historic season, and if you look at the teams that they played on, they both suck, so it wasn't like somebody had the upper hand.
Luka. I mean, honestly, he did it consistently through the whole season.
Yeah.
But hey, we had these
Trey
conversations
came
about
strong.
Trey making that transition,
Yeah,
and
he did
he's
it.
starting to.
He did more than starting to. Since February 1st, he's averaging 24 points a game, 8 assists. If you look at Trey's last 39 games and compare them to Luka's first 39 games, Trey's averages are better. I think at worst, it's co-rookie of the year. If you don't outright give it to Trae Young. All right.
Take.
Should Giannis, should the Greek Freak also be considered for most improved player of the year? Redo?
I mean, why not? I mean, he made a jump but it was also one of the things that was expected. So
You expected this?
yeah, I mean, yeah, the people were talking about him preseason as being MVP,
Yeah, and his stats only went up.
but that shouldn't disqualify him from from actually doing it because he did it.
Junior Blue?
Considered, but Siakam got it.
The African Lamar Odom up
Yeah,
in
he
Toronto.
got it.
Yeah.
He got it.
Yeah. Kev?
I think if it was up to me, I'd give it to Giannis because that's the only award he's gonna win this year. Foreshadowing. But no, I agree with Les. I definitely
He got a
think
couple to win this year.
I think it's Siakam because no one knew his name this time last year, and at points when Kawhi wasn't playing, he has been the one carrying his team, not Kyle Lowry. And I think again, he's versatile. He can play all positions. He can defend. He shoots 36% from three. I mean, I don't think anybody expected the numbers he's putting up this year, so I'd give it to Siakam.
Makes Kawhi leaving easier. But I don't think so. I think if anybody from that sort of level, I think you could probably give it to Paul George over the Greek Freak, just because
For most improved player?
and it'd be the second time he'd done it. I mean, he changed himself into an MVP caliber player. I mean, Siakam has doubled his stats, and he's become a great piece and an important piece to a championship team. But let's be honest, if Paul George isn't balling like he is right now, that team's not in the playoffs.
Hit or flop? Christian Wade, big-time rugby player, out of the UK, has been added to the Buffalo Bills roster basically through the NFL in 2017, created the International Player Pathway Program. targeting rugby players, hit or flop that the NFL organizations, owners, whatever the case you may be, are using this program to further devalue the running back position? Hit or flop, Kev?
I'm not sure about that just yet, because I think we have to have more of a sample size to see. But I definitely think it's a big deal in terms of him coming to the NFL. I think it's just more proof that the world is flat, and I mean that figuratively, because sports realize that they're much better off when they open their doors and have people from diverse backgrounds and skill sets come to the league. I mean, 20, 30 years ago, this wouldn't even have been a thing. Look where we are now.
Dad, hit or flop? Stephen Jones, COO of the Dallas Cowboys, says that the Dak Prescott quarterback deal must be team friendly. Hit or flop that Dak's going to cooperate?
Everything with that situation is a flop, no matter how it goes.
Red O, hit or flop? Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman is in the final stages of negotiation for a fight in July. Will that fight be a hit or a flop?
It will be a hit. And regardless of who wins, it sets up the welterweight division and a lot of fights coming after that.
All right, finally, Junior Blue, hit or flop? We've got the NHL playoffs. Will the Tampa Bay Lightning be the first team since 2013 to win not only the President's Trophy, but also the Stanley Cup? They are by far best team in hockey. Will they do it?
No, flop.
And that's all I got to say.
And keep it moving. All right, folks, it's time
Look
for
at
our it's time for our
Right
debate
into
segment. Is you with it or not? In the blue corner, we got Junior Blue, aka Gentleman Jack.
Shout out to Nipsey.
From the West Coast, the best coast. In the red corner, we got the guy wearing the nude shirt that's matching his clothes.
Button to the top.
From the East Coast, when in the summertime it's humid and disgusting, but hey, they're going against each other. So tonight's debate topic is who will win the 2019 NBA MVP, and the two players we are arguing about are Giannis Antetokounmpo, check me out, and James Harden.
The G is silent.
Hey, I got the last name right. So Dev, you will flip the coin to see who picks who.
Who's calling? Pick.
I'll call it in the air. Heads.
It is heads.
I'm going with Giannis.
Oh, okay. That means
Kev, you got Harden?
do we have a timer?
I do.
Okay.
So who's going first, Kev?
Leslie James will go first.
All right, Les.
You always starts with my government, don't
It's personal now, man.
All right, Giannis Antetokounmpo. The MVP usually goes to the best player on the team with the best record in the league. Well, how about the best player on the team that was picked to finish fourth in the East and has already clinched the best record in the NBA and already has a 60-win season? Giannis is averaging 28 points per game and 6 assists a game, shooting 58% from the field. The one thing that separates Giannis from the other MVP candidates, let's just put it out there, defense.
The D.
He's a front runner to be the defensive player of the year on the best defensive team in the league. He's averaging 12.5 rebounds a game, 1.5 blocks, and 1.3 steals. The only other players to average those numbers are Anthony Davis and Andre Drummond. When guarded by him, players shoot less than 40% from the field. So that's basically it. You have someone averaging 28.5 points a game, and they're the best defensive player in the league. So how can they not be? That's truly the definition of the most valuable player on his team and the league.
Kev, you ready?
You ready for this smoke?
I gotta be, don't I?
No.
No.
All right, whenever you're
All right,
ready.
crank it up. So like Leslie James Jr. said, standard protocol is to give the best to give the award to the best player on the best team unless there's a player who had a historic year and something we've never seen before. And outside of Wilt Chamberlain in 1961, Harden not winning the MVP this year will be the best season a player has ever had to not get rewarded for it. And the NBA can't let that happen twice. This season, Harden's averaging 36, 6, and 7. He's the first player since Michael Jordan in '86 to average 36 points a game. He's about to become the third player in history to average 35 and 5 in consecutive seasons. Now, despite what people may think, Harden's crazy numbers actually do lead to team wins. He's done more than Giannis has had to do for his team to succeed. And I think it's easier for Giannis to lead the Eastern Conference after LeBron leaves and when your team has been healthy all season. The Bucks' second best player, Chris Middleton, has played 76 games this season. Clint Capella's played 66. Chris Paul, who's their most important player, has only played 57. Harden has carried this team from a 14 seed to now a 3 seed, even possibly a 2 seed, basically by himself. Harden's had the more memorable moments this season, his streak of 30-point games. He has multiple 60-point games. He had a 61-point night where he only shot the ball 34 times, hit 9 threes, only hit 14 free throws. In that same game, he scored 13 points in less than 3 minutes for a fourth quarter come-from-behind win. Giannis is great, but he hasn't been this clutch this season. And most importantly, just yesterday, 122 players who are both Giannis and James Harden's peers voted that James Harden is their MVP for this season. It's like the SAG award for hoopers. And if your peers say you're the best, Omar's gonna say I won. So is Kenyon and Devin. James Harden is this year's MVP.
Well, that was a great argument, but I'm not the judge. I'm just hosting.
They also said
Y'all
Russell
know what's
Westbrook was
up.
overrated.
Kenyon, are you judging? I mean, are you judging yet?
It's me.
It's Devin.
Dev? Okay, Dev.
It's
Yeah.
me. It's me,
That was
baby.
real Garfield-y shit.
A little soft, wasn't it? Going into the debate, you know, I can't stand how James Harden plays. I just can't fucking do it. I had Giannis winning it, but as far as the debate go, Kevin won the debate. Kevin won the debate, and that changed my bias.
So Harden should win it.
Kevin debate won it.
So Harden should win it. That's what you're saying.
It's really hard. Yeah. Honestly,
Hey, real talk though, I thought the same thing going into this, that Giannis, best player, best team, he's had the more complete year. But yo, what James Harden is doing is retarded.
But wait a second. Have you made a decision yet?
My
Because you acting
decision
like
was-
Kevin right now.
I was supposed to judge the debate. I judged the debate.
oh my God. I think this is like it's like
Fuck! I did what I was supposed to do.
it's like one of those years that Kobe had where it was just like the scoring was just it's ridiculous. It's the year Steve Nash won MVP that should have been Kobe's year, the 81 point year. Like the stuff that James is doing, and I agree. I don't necessarily like the way James plays, but it's
But he also doesn't play defense, and there's two parts.
Second
of this
in the
game.
league in deflections.
and they were 11 and
Behind Paul George.
I think they were 11 and 18 or something. And then when he went off on his crazy streak, and I mean, it's led to wins. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not mad at a co-MVP. I think this year for sure. All right, it's time for diplomatic immunity, Kev. What are the folks out there saying?
So, breaking news tonight, I'm sure all the good folks out there know, is that Magic Johnson has removed himself from his position with the Lakers. Slug chimed in that he survived AIDS with 30 years and couldn't last 9 months with LeBron.
Oh
But
my
our good
God.
brother
With
Scott
me,
Cameron
Bron.
Me, Bron.
wants to know, brother Scott Cameron wants to know that, A, what pieces do the Lakers need to take the next step? And then who do you guys think should be next up for the Lakers GM position?
Well, the GM is still there. It's
Rob
Rob
Pelinka.
Pelinka.
Magic's, whatever Magic does, his damn shoe.
I don't think that they need to replace Magic's position. I think that it's a bit of an overkill to have that role.
They made it up for him.
Yeah, and I just think that you if you can't you have conversations with whoever you want to try to have conversations with in terms of the free agents that are out there. I don't think any of them are going to come. I think you stand pat, and if Anthony Davis really wants to come to the Lakers, then you just run everything back, hope the young guys continue to improve and develop and stay healthy. I think if there needs to be any changes, you need to change that training staff.
Yep.
That's what you need to do.
Like the Chargers.
Right.
Yeah.
Revamp that training staff, hope the young guys improve, and then go get Anthony Davis in 2020.
We got anything else out there, Kev?
No, I think that's what the people are talking about. I would love to hear what the other Laker fans would have to say. Hey, late this time last year, you guys were Western Conference Finals and all kinds of shit. I mean,
Christmas, we were saying that.
Christmas, we were saying that.
you guys were probably the only ones saying that, but nonetheless,
No, we weren't.
Kenyon, you guys were, but Kenyon, what do you? I mean, you mentioned Kenyon. You mentioned that you don't think those guys are going to come here. What changed that? Because the Lakers were the hot landing spot during free agency. Well,
were they?
Pose one, and look where we are now. According to run the tape, we got the tape.
Yeah, I mean, I think it got pretty. Honestly, LeBron came, and I think that a lot of the guys that are going to be free agents, Clay's situation is entirely dependent upon Kevin Durant, right? And by the looks of everything, Kevin Durant's going to leave. So if Kevin Durant leaves, there's no way that Golden State is letting Clay walk out of the door. And Clay's not going to mess up a good thing. So that's 2 chess pieces off the board. As soon, like the next day after LeBron said he was coming here, Kawhi was like, I'm not coming to the Lakers. I want to beat LeBron. I don't want to team up with LeBron. So that takes him off the board. So who's left after that? But honestly, it's not the worst thing. If it's true, if Anthony Davis really wants to come here, that's the move. Point blank, period. So you don't need to trade for him. He wants to come. Let him come. You keep the young players that you want. If you need to flip Brandon Ingram to make some more room to get a third piece once Anthony Davis comes here, then you go ahead and you do that. But I think, especially with Magic, not even talking to Jeannie Buss, not even talking to Rob Pelinka, making his announcement via press conference, I think that we need to represent, even if it's not entirely the truth, we need to represent stability. So I think stability is double down on your young guys. Let's get back in the gym. You've got LeBron under contract for 3 more years, and evaluate Luke Walton next year, and then let's see what happens in 2020.
You know whose leadership we absolutely need, and it's time for it to be shown and proven, is Jeannie. This is when the organizations are in turmoil, the leaders are supposed to step up and lead, and she can't put it on anybody else. She has to step up and show that she is the right person to lead this team into the next whatever happens after this. But Magic fucked her, and she got to take it on the chin and keep it going.
Wow,
that's a lot
there. That's we want to preface that by saying it's all a figure of speech, folks.
Or was it?
Oh, was it?
I said what I said.
And we need to get the fuck out of here based off of that. That is our show for today. Thank you for joining us on Confirmation Bias. We will have another Twitch event on 420. We're going to be at the Man Cave. Recording us watching the fight during 420. That's the Terrence Crawford versus Amir Khan pay-per-view fight. Check us out on social media. Again, the Twitch channel is The League AM. All our social media handles are at The League AM. The website is theleagueam.com. Check out Diplomatic Community. Talk your shit. Please share on social media. And remember, sharing is caring. Peace.
See you next week.